I need to hear what really happened on this. Like I need the whole story. I've heard Undertaker talk about a piece of it.
Yep.
So that's when I need. That's when I need like. I'm going to watch that one. Like I'm going to be like a little kid sitting in front of the TV with a popcorn. Like I need finally give me all the answers that I need. That's a good one.
Yeah. Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Man. So, as wrestling fans,
Okay. Yep.
one of the
That's
things
us.
we
Wrestling
always appreciate
Mhm.
is documentaries.
Absolutely, of course.
So-
who doesn't enjoy the behind the scenes stuff, the stories that they probably couldn't tell us back then, and all that good jazz? Of course.
One of the things I don't do, though,
Mhm.
I don't get upset or say, oh, man, WWE got their hands on this. They not going to really tell us the whole thing. I sit back, really enjoy it for what it is. Now we're going to do a show about it. But I really just sit there and just enjoy him as a fan. It's probably one of the few things I can actually enjoy as a fan.
I mean, yeah, maybe you don't want to take for granted that it's not my job to debunk what's true, what's not true. I'm just usually grateful as a fan that I get more insight and stories about things that I either saw, witnessed, or had a part in as a wrestling fan, whether I was a child or whether I was an adult.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with wrestling documentaries, behind the scenes videos, all that good stuff. So
All that good stuff. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of the Wrestling Realm. The real Dwayne Allen, Brian H. Waters. We back. So today we're going to take time to discuss some documentaries. As you know, throughout this spring season, or I should say the spring of 2021, we've had a handful of documentaries we've been watching. Right after WrestleMania season, we went for a ride, whether it was A&E Biography series or Dark Side of the Ring. You know, there were so many stories that was told, and I personally thought this was perfect timing. You know, WrestleMania sometimes can be like that slow down period for the business, and for the casual fans, they say, okay, we got through WrestleMania. You know, the casual fans, and when I say casual, I mean come in, check out, whatever. They come into the Royal Rumble hot.
sure,
They
right,
go through
right,
that
right.
road to WrestleMania. Then they pull over for a cookout.
Sure, yeah,
They
yeah,
might
yeah.
come back during SummerSlam. Well, in this case, they said, well, look, stay around. We got some stuff that we're going to go back in the day, right? We had some series, you know, featuring, I ain't going to go through all of them, but featuring Bret Hart, Booker T, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then you had Dark Side of the Ring. You know, they did a series, you know, a couple on Flying Brian. Ultimate Warrior, which A&E also did one on. Collision in Korea, and a number of them. So Dark Side of the Ring, this is their third season. I think it's third season. A&E, this is the first season, which I hope we can get some more. But what's been your biggest takeaway?
The biggest takeaway is that as a wrestling fan, a lot of these stories are being told with more depth and more range than what was probably given to them. A little bit more rope in regards to the information they can kind of dive into versus what they could or couldn't say before. As it's always fun to revisit a lot of these moments and to kind of get kind of firsthand responses and answers to a lot of the questions that we probably had growing up. It's nothing like a really bad cliffhanger where you're stuck asking questions that you really don't have the answers to.
Right.
So the best part about these documentaries is that they give us a lot of insight about what was going on at the time, and sometimes the superstars themselves can give us their mindset about why things happened where they did, their careers, where they've come from. You know, the WWE Network has always done a great job with a lot of different shorts and
Golly,
man.
That's something. Before you get there, there's a
We
lot
take
of
detours, by the way.
there's a lot of things that we may have taken for granted.
Yeah, the
I
WWE Network.
have to honestly say I never took it for granted. I'm gonna tell you why.
I did.
Because I always appreciated the fact that if I was bored, there was a WWE icon on my TV,
Mhm.
my PlayStation,
Mhm.
my Roku, or my phone.
Mhm.
Every TV in the house
Yeah.
had WWE Network on it.
Don't get me wrong, I was the same way, but but his in that same breath, his is how I didn't take advantage of it.
Okay.
Once I kind of got over the fact that I knew it was there, I didn't take full advantage of it like I could have. Like
Okay.
now, it's like there came a day where we were kind of grasping for those classic matches and moments, and
Yeah.
then people were kind of bootlegging a little bit on YouTube and uploading stuff, and then after a while, when standards and practices began to change for companies in regards to their media, releases and promotions, everyone began to come out with their streaming services, and once you knew it was there, you always felt like it was going to be there. So if I needed it, I didn't have to take full advantage of it because I could always go there. But then
That's true.
now it's like, okay, now that I can't do that, well, it's not as easy as it once used to be. It's not as convenient as it used to be. Like I said, at any point in time, it was just a click, and then I was engulfed in this streaming world versus now it's a part of another system that's, not as favorable to us wrestling fans, or just not something we're used to because we were spoiled by the way it was originally given to us, including the content that were these short documentaries, whether it's Day ofs or 24s or Untolds. I mean, these were small shorts that kind of dove into some of these smaller moments that may not get these big spectacles or complete TV episodes per season, but they were still moments that as wrestling fans we cared about.
Yeah.
But we've been fortunate enough right now to most recently have A&E documentaries as well as Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I sit back and I like, so last year, or whatever, last year, there was the Last Dance.
Yes.
That was
pandemic,
appointment viewing television, right?
That was very classic too.
Yeah, and timely,
on broadcast television.
Shout out to LeBron James for saying, hey, let's get this out.
LeBron James.
Yeah, because he put out the tweet when the pandemic happened, saying y'all need to release those and stuff now. So my friend,
they moved it up. Yep.
My friend JC Shinoni, she worked on the series.
Oh wow!
And
really?
So she was telling me.
Check out Brian Nace. Well connected brother we have here.
Well, yeah, shout out to her. She was telling me on my podcast, Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings, like, they had a meeting and said, okay, it's time to roll. We're going with it. And, remember, that stuff wasn't even finished.
No.
So that was during 2020, right? That was appointment viewing television. I felt like the A&E stuff for wrestling fans was our appointment viewing television on Sundays. That was what we wanted to do. Sundays, all right, tune in, I would hit you up, hey, we would be like talking on the phones like, all right, WWE Biography is about to come on,
Right,
So that was the thing, and what was it, about 6 of them? It was solid 6 weeks. I really enjoy getting to know these stories. And as a DVD collector, I've seen a lot of these. You being a DVD collector yourself, we've seen these stories, but it's been really cool to see the updates. With Stone Cold Steve Austin, getting a chance to see the updates. Booker T, somebody who hasn't gotten a DVD, and there's controversy around his.
Yeah, absolutely.
With David Dennis, I believe that's his name. Professor, and he was talking. He had said something and it got blown out of proportion. People thought he said that they cut it out a documentary. He said he answered questions about Booker T and Triple H at WrestleMania 19, and they thought he was saying, "Oh, they cut it out," which he said he never said that. But it was cool to be able to see a black voice on that in the the wrestling community. Y'all can come holler at us too. But it was cool to see that, you always love to see like these different voices. You see Rosenberg on there. Being able to speak about certain things. So that's the thing I could appreciate is that fan aspect. There's not only and I'm interested in the process, but not only just the people who work behind the scenes, but people who were fans at the time that may be working, in prominent places.
Right. Like I said, there's a ton we could easily dive into, but for timing purposes, we can't take each time to review each episode in the whole series. But we could just talk about a lot of the things that stuck out specifically, to us that help us enjoy it. I'll start with one of the ones was Booker T's story. I know the WWE Network did a brief story on Booker T, and they kind of touched on his past and a lot of stuff, but they didn't go into details. So, and he never got a DVD pack. I know back in 2000 tens, I guess.
Yeah, about between 10 and
Between like
14,
6.
they was giving out
Yeah,
DVDs like
that
water.
was a big thing when you had a DVD pack that pretty much talked about. The first DVD was talking about your life, where you came from, your career, and then the next 2 DVDs was always your matches, and special interviews and stuff like that.
Because I didn't like the full match DVDs. Like if it was just like talk, match, talk. I didn't like those.
No, I didn't like that either. I like the stories and then give me the matches. Of course, you appreciate having those match DVDs now with the network being the state that it's in.
Yeah.
Non-existent, I should say. But his story was one that they kind of touched and dabbled on. And I was like, oh, he's had a like. You hear everybody say they had a rough past, but he had a rough past. I mean, and for them to go into detail about what he's gone through, and then also his own personal ups and downs and his failures, even as a parent, as a man, and is to be successful in your career, but then to be unsuccessful at home, but then to kind of come full circle and try to find that balance somewhere. That was good to see. And I think another one that kind of stuck out to me was Macho Man's DVD. The type of fans that they had. I remember they had a guy on there that was he was titled as Macho Man's one of his biggest fans. But this guy has probably got the best Macho Man Randy Savage impression I've ever heard. It's better than me. He's so good, he made me want to stop doing it. I was like, I don't want to do Macho Man impression anymore.
No, that's what we're not going to do.
His impression was
that is
that
an
good.
integral part of the wrestling realm.
Listen,
on camera or off camera.
I recently started doing that, like, again, because that's how much I enjoyed the special. But for a long time, when I heard him on YouTube, he was on, I want to say he was on Sam Roberts' podcast on XM Radio or whatever it was. I remember hearing, it was at his podcast or X-Pac 12360. I could be wrong. Either way, I heard him before and I was like, man, this guy has got to be the best Macho Man Randy Savage impression I've ever heard. And to see him on the biography, it's just like, it's a testament to wrestling fans because people always like to hear people do Macho Man Randy Savage impressions, and he's got one of the best ones. So it was fun to see, of course, firsthand experiences from people that were there that were in these moments, but also to see some fans in their space. And not only them as fans, but these are professionals. You know what I mean? Like, the wrestling fans have such a broad range of where they fall, and I think it's good to see, normal and professional people, come together alike to give their experiences, and that's what makes the biography so real because they can kind of share their same feelings that you had in regards to what you saw and then the meaning of it, but they're old enough to kind of make sense of it. If that makes any sense. So that was one of the biggest takeaways that I've always enjoyed about A&E biography series. They used to do this a long time ago. They had one with Andre the Giant a while ago. I remember that was the first one I saw, and it was so good for what it was even then. And then for them to kind of still take that same concept and continue with other iconic wrestlers. Roddy Piper was insane. Yeah. You don't realize how he really was from the trenches, and then he had such a traumatic childhood in regards to his relations with his father and his family and all that stuff. And
one thing is about these things too, right? Mm-hmm. It brings the wrestling fans together, and what I mean is, in
a very divided culture.
Yeah, divided culture, but also age range. Because we talk about it all the time. Like, our parents' wrestling is different from our wrestling.
Sure. Yeah.
And then our kids' wrestling is different from our wrestling, and it's way different from my parents' wrestling.
Right.
But if our kids hear about Roddy Piper, well, who is this guy? We might know a little something, but we didn't see. Oh yeah, we didn't see everything from the beginning. Right. But then they can see these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gives us a chance to go back and look at it.
Yeah, and I think they did a great job as far as the subjects. You had some. Piper's really one of the great superstars in the 80s, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you got, the 90s and the 2000s. So you really brought everybody together. And I thought, starting off with Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously, that's going to reel people in. I was talking to my god brother. I said, hey, man, check this out. And, he to this day thought Chili McFreeze was the funniest thing.
Wow.
And that's the thing. You get in these in-depth stories because a lot of people, and that's what I also tell people, because as much as we're enjoying them, it's on A&E for a reason. So that means it's for that
broader
type of audience, a broader audience. And, we as television producers and people in this background, we understand that. And that's the thing that they're targeting.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things the biggest takeaways when you understand the audience that you're looking for. A lot of times people are not really concerned with who the story's about, but if they're familiar with somebody, like I give you a prime example. I'm far from a Kiss fan.
Okay,
that's not my generation, That's not my culture. I didn't grow up in anything related to Kiss, but Biography had a commercial talking about Kiss, and I was immediately interested because I'm just someone that genuinely likes to see I've always been familiar with them. That's one of the biggest brands and biggest bands, of all time.
And it was on WCW.
I was thinking that, and I don't even count it because that's how bad WCW was in the toilet.
I was saying that was like 99, 2000, right?
Yeah, it was bad. But and I don't think it was even Kiss. I think it was like a cover band, like they lip sync. I think.
Oh my.
It was. I saw it on the DVD. It was. I don't know if it was Rise and Fall of WCW or something. It was like, oh, the fake. They said the fake Kiss cover band or something, and it was like
somebody probably in the comments like, you didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, just who was watching WCW at that time anyway. But as someone that's kind of knows it, like, oh well, shoot, you saw the commercial, and I was like, man, I wonder how they got themselves, because this is someone I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
it's a brand that has expanded for over who knows how many years, and it's a group and it's a band that I'm like, well, I don't know too much about them, but I'm interested to see where they're coming from because that's the audience that A&E usually gravitates towards. Yeah. Same thing with Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, what is one of the biggest things that you take away from? First of all, the title itself, Dark Side of the Ring, it has a scary tone to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? One of the things some things that can be a good thing and things could be a bad thing is that we find out that some of our favorite wrestlers are actually human beings. That could be a good thing because maybe we don't put so much pressure on them, or we start to understand why they went through what they went through, or the decisions that they made. In Dark Side of the Ring, I mean, they really go into depth about some of the most taboo subjects in the world of professional wrestling. A lot of the things that are usually just conversations between us fans or swept underneath the table, they dive into it like head first, and they hold nothing back.
I'll tell you, the thing is, shout out to Britt Waters. We was talking about Dark Side of the Ring.
Right.
And one thing she said that was, she's like, unfortunately, there'll always be Dark Sides of the Ring. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing to think about.
And they have other series like Dark Side of Football and
and like Dr. D brought this up, and it wasn't him just hating, because I'm gonna agree with him. It's not the same. It's they could have chose a different name. It's the same. It's like, because the Dark Side of the Ring does such a great production. Yeah. It just seems like
should be standalone.
Yeah. They just but Vice TV with these Dark Side of the Ring. Shout out to the producers. Mm-hmm. They really take you into these things, right? And it can make you cry. They're uncomfortable.
That's exactly how I would describe them.
The Owen Hart one.
God.
That one. I'll say Owen Hart's. I felt like made people stop asking for Owen to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Because when you saw his kids on there, the thing that stood to me was like when his daughter said she hates wrestling. Because she thinks about, well, if it wasn't for wrestling, my dad would still be here.
Absolutely.
That's the type of stuff. It's like, wow, But the Chris Benoit one, in a way, you saw his son be reunited with his aunt. Yeah. And it was because of Dark Side of the Ring, right? Yeah. You saw healing with the Pillman family. Mm-hmm. So there are things that's like, man, it sucks, but, it kind of brings people together. But the thing is about these stories, like you said, they're going into these conversations fans have had. They also reveal some things that, like, oh, so that really didn't happen, Yeah. The Dynamite Kid, that one's the latest one. I think that was the conclusion of this season. Yeah. That one, I knew about the Dynamite Kid, heard about the Rougeau story, but I was like, wow, the Rougeaus was really part of the mafia, which wasn't true. But what they did was they told him, they wrote down like his family name and address, gave it to him, and said, they told Dino Bravo, because they knew Dino Bravo was a stooge, and he told Dynamite, like, hey man, this guy, like, got your name and information, and if you do anything else to the Rougeaus, then your family gonna be dead. Whole time he just did that, and that was
kind of keeping at bay.
Yeah, so but the Montreal Screwjob, I'll tell you this: the person on them, who's been the show stealer, or the MVP is Jim Cornette.
Yeah. Big personality.
The personality, but you realize, like, we know as wrestling fans how much he loves the wrestling business. Yeah. But the historian that he is. Yeah. You getting a tour in his like attic, and you see when he talked about Now, this is according to him. He gave them the idea for the Montreal Screwjob. He said,
He wants credit for that?
no, because he said when he brought the idea up, they told him it was stupid.
Oh, okay.
They told him, no, don't do
Gotcha.
it. You know, because he said it was like Ed the Strangler Lewis, I think. I had to go back and watch it, but I'm always fascinated hearing him tell the story, as much as I hate that whole screw job thing.
Right.
But he said, they was trying to get the belt off somebody, and then they did some move, and they, called for the belt. Same scenario. So he said he pitches the idea. They said, no, we're not going to do that.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden, he's sitting there, he watches like, that was my idea,
Right, yeah.
So, you're getting a chance to see these stories, Ultimate Warrior. We saw self-destruction of the Warrior.
Yeah, that was early on.
This was woo. I was like, there was some highlights in there, but they kind of put the Warrior down a little bit. But overall, I think these are good. To me, as a wrestling fan, I'm happy to see wrestling on other channels besides USA, TNT, and Fox.
Sure.
Right? Maybe that's just
outside of the normal realm
Yeah.
of wrestling or the normal space that we kind of reside in, but they kind of see that there's interest outside of our small community in these.
Think about it. I mean,
superstars.
I'm pretty sure this has happened to you. You being, people hit you up. Hey, man, they send you a clip from the A&E biography of Dark Side of the Ring. People that don't watch wrestling, but they seen the clips on social media, and they hit you up. Because at one, I don't think we can really explain to children
Right.
how big Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock was.
Yeah, they won't.
We can talk about it.
That's like we never really fully understood how big Bruno was.
Bingo.
Because Bruno was, if you ask anybody in that generation, they're like, no, he was.
I've heard a lot of people say they cried when he lost the title.
I mean, you're talking about a guy that drew with no social media, no video, just television syndication.
Yep.
In that area and
Magazines wasn't around yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Not like that. I mean, if there was, I don't know what type of news publication, but I doubt it was no full color magazine spreads during that time. So it's. I mean, they might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see. I hope A&E comes back. I know Dark Side's coming back. I'm always excited to see the stories just because I'm naturally curious.
Sure, yeah.
I've been around wrestlers and they shoot. Those stories you keep in the car. You've been in those car rides.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, quite a few.
But I'm interested to see what makes what's coming up.
So let me ask you this. Let's take both shows because they're kind of hot right now.
Yeah.
Just in general. What A&E biography would you like them to see? Because they pretty much took all the big dogs, all the major superstars, and then some heavy hitters like Booker T. Which he to me is a superstar, but Warrior and the Piper and Brett and Shawn, and then you had Booker T and Austin. What A&E biography would you like them to kind of dive into? And on the reverse end, Dark Side of the Ring. What kind of taboo or relative story do you still have questions about, if any? But is there something in the the world of professional wrestling that they can kind of dive into? They say, I need more answers. I don't. I know one, but I'm not gonna.
Dark Side. Dark Side
isn't.
isn't finished yet. I just thought about it because they ain't even done the plane ride from hell yet, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I'm going to watch because let me tell you something right now. I'm telling you, that's one I've heard that story.
It's so many
from 5 different people. Like, I've heard X-Pac give his 2 cents. I've heard JR say his 2 cents. I've heard Vince dabble. And then nobody ever gives huge details. I've heard Ric Flair dabble in it. And I'm like, I've heard Just Incredible talk about a little bit of it. And I'm just like, bruh, I need to hear what really happened on this. Like, I need the whole story. I've heard Undertaker talk about a piece of it.
Yep.
So that's what I need. That's when I need, like, I'm going to watch that one. Like, I'm going to be like a little kid sitting in front of the TV with a popcorn. Like, I need finally give me all the answers that I need. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was on deck.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I could have sworn they said that was on deck. I gotta double check. I know Vice Aside is doing one on China. I'm excited about that. They're doing like a biography on her. Shout out to those wrestling girls because I said I'm waiting to see what y'all got to say about this.
Yeah, because they don't. First of all, they do not play with women's wrestling. They do not play with women not being recognized.
Yep.
And they're one of the first ones to really highlight and really have that platform to really push women's wrestling products. So it's not kind of brushed off to the side. Or it's not considered second fiddle. So shout out to those ladies who have always been that way. So if you're not familiar with them, you need to get very familiar with those wrestling girls because they do an excellent job of that.
Exactly. You know, so I'm excited. A&E, I'm thinking, I'm one person I would love to see. Honestly, I would love to see one on Triple H.
Sure.
And
That's an easy one.
you might be surprised at this person I'm about to say.
Okay.
Batista. Make me like Batista. Because I'm not a fan of his.
I don't know if anybody can make you like Batista.
Let me see if there's something that I'm missing.
It's not that likable of a guy.
You know,
I didn't like Batista coming up. Don't get me wrong.
And Goldberg. You know, I think A&E would do, consider what he was in WCW. His, you know, I think they would do well with him.
I think Goldberg's a good one.
Dark Side of the Ring. Oh man, there's so many stories. Sable's lawsuit against Vince McMahon. I don't think it's coming, considering.
Sure.
Brock Lesnar's still part of the company, sort of not.
Oh yeah, they probably might.
So they might not touch that one.
Yeah.
But I would definitely, you know, that's one I would like to see, and I'm pretty sure it's unfortunately some other dark stories that'll come up. Now I think about when we finish taping, I'm like, oh yeah, you know. Now that we know Jeff Jarrett didn't hold up Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that was rumored.
That was like forever.
Right.
So how about you?
For like an A&E biography, I would say definitely someone like Undertaker.
Oh,
Updated information about stuff, because there's a lot of A&E will dive into your personal life, personal stories, and you know, at one point his former wife Sarah and his, you know, I believe his son, they were involved in the storyline, and then all of a sudden that kind of went away. And we always see Undertaker in his life now with Michelle McCool and his daughter and stuff like that. But Undertaker had a life before then, and that's really never been touched. So that's one, or a Ric Flair. Ric Flair's story been told 1,000 times, but Ric Flair has a crazy. He has a crazy start. Like when in previous Ric Flair stories, Ric Flair talks about being a black market baby, and I'm like, wait a minute, what you just say? And when you're talking about a child that was probably most likely taken away from his birth parents and sold. I mean, that's trafficking. You know what I mean? Like that's that. And to me, I don't think that has ever left Ric Flair. He had to take the last name of his adopted parents, but I mean, he's probably somewhere in his life grew up not really knowing who he really was, and just he gravitated towards things that gave him that attention and, you know, gave him that feeling, which makes sense in the world of professional wrestling, because you hear a lot of people that are wrestlers. They seek that validation from the audience because they didn't get it in their early years of their childhood, or you know, things like that. And that's it's a subject that I'll be interested to see what they say about that. You know, talking about what happened with him and the Four Horsemen. Why do they not get along now? Why are they not as close as they used to be? Stuff like that as far as biography. And Dark Side of the Ring, something that we talked about years ago on our shows, wrestling bounties. Ooh. It was enough to be written in a magazine article. And I don't know how valid the article was, because sometimes, you know, we have a, you know, fact check a lot of things, but it was in there. It was talked about. So to me, I'm like, well, why don't you answer it? Are there questions? It's almost like a taboo thing that's kind of like, you know, the mafia stuff that's kind of unspoken about. You know what I mean? Things that people know about and people have, but it's like you don't speak about. But I'm interested to see if there's something they could possibly dive into. So that's just a few of the things that, as a wrestling fan, I'll be interested to hear, because now we're at the age where it's like, man, we're finally getting answers that we didn't have coming up. So
I'll tell you, it's a lot of stuff. You know, like I said, we could obviously spend hours on this, you know, if we reviewed them. But, you know, just a lot of different companies I never knew about. You know, I remember hearing about the UWF. But, you know, I never... And, like, when I saw the documentary, I was like, oh, so that's the thing that used to come on TV. Well, that's what I used to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just so much, and like I said, unfortunately, there's so many dark stories in wrestling.
Yeah.
But you know, with biography, and one I would like to see.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Nah, I just saw. That was the hardest one on his dad. Yeah. That was so
cringy,
uncomfortable almost. Yeah. I remember me and my wife was watching it.
Like,
and it just makes you want to hug your children.
Right.
Producers calling, but we do our own show. It makes you want to hug your children.
Yeah.
But I tell you, maybe if this is done right, maybe he could right that wrong.
Oh boy, what are you gonna say?
Hulk Hogan. You know, you saying maybe. I don't know.
I don't think.
I highly doubt it.
I don't think the community is ready for that one. They did one on them, didn't they? Didn't they do one?
They
on,
did.
They did do one on Hogan
They
a long
did.
time ago.
That was so.
That's when we first heard about the story about him changing his life around. I think wasn't it A&E?
You know what? It was A&E. It was. That's the reason why I'm still a Hogan fan. But
I mean, yeah. But you know,
I understand. I would never tell nobody to feel the way they feel. Don't tell me how to feel. I feel. I leave it at that.
okay. So one last thing. Two things. Controversy.
Oh,
What?
I got one.
You got something? So I say we still rolling.
Yeah.
Controversy.
Mm-hmm.
The Fabulous Moolah. Does she get an A&E biography or does she get a Dark Side of the Ring?
She got Dark Side of the Ring. That was in the first season.
The Fabulous Moolah.
That's when I think it was the first season.
Like an updated.
Yeah, that's when we found out about her with Sweet Georgia Brown. They had Sweet Georgia Brown's kids on there. Dude, they was talking about how she was riding around with the dudes, and the dudes was like one of the kids was saying their mother would be like at home and guy would pull up to the show. It's time for you to go to wrestling and pull her away to the point like the mother like hit their head on the car.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's. If I'm not mistaken,
she's
that's
not,
what
she's
caused,
not getting an A&E biography.
Yeah, that's what sent. Remember the Fabulous? It was supposed to be the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
that was the triggering point, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember it's like they can't call it. Mae Young.
Because that got exposed, or maybe it was the next year. But it might have been what triggered WWE to say, "Okay, we can't do this no more."
No,
yeah, that one was. Ooh, I remember when I was watching that because I was in the gym. I was playing.
I had no idea. That's like I Dark Side is cringy.
Yeah,
like, I don't. I'm like, man, I don't want to be depressed watching wrestling stuff. So I've always been afraid.
I want to see if they talk about these racist promoters. You know, the Bill Watts.
They don't want to. They don't want to dive into that.
You know.
Now see, Bill Watts was the catch-22 because Junkyard Dog was one of his top guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He put the strap on him.
Yeah, because he would tell you,
because green was more important than black or white.
Yeah.
But we going down that lane. Like it's Dark Side of the Realm. This is getting what you call it. But that's like I said, it sparks conversations that need to be had. You know, and it kind of informs us about things that we didn't know about. So we can so shows like this, we don't go around talking about people that may have been racially insensitive or sexually insensitive or that's things we don't want to touch because we want to make sure that we don't support anything that's unfitting of our brand. Yeah. And offensive to our brothers and sisters out there in the community. So yeah. One thing I will say as we wrap this up, I'm looking forward to the biggest one of all, and I think this one will have like Jordan Last Dance. Last Dance was just
iconic.
Michael Jordan's last his last championship. That's what Last Dance feels like to me. It's like he just had to have one more run.
Well, see, that's what JC told me that he didn't want to do no more interviews, and they had to explain to him. Well, Mike, you still got to do interviews because you got to interview. Like you got to go on Good Morning America to promote this. You got this. It's like, nah, I want to do this. Is gonna be my last interview, and this is it. And it's almost scary, tabooish, because like Jordan, no, don't even go there. You're not even 70. You're not.
Michael Jordan saved the world one more time.
Yeah. I don't even want to give that type of credit, but you're right.
He did. During the pandemic, like the docu-series was going to be iconic by itself. That I think it was LeBron. That was I was 26 championship, 2016, and the GOAT conversation was coming out. And I remember it was a joke because I remember hearing about it, and Jordan said, "Release the footage. Like we're gonna put this together." And then I remember it was supposed to come out in 2019 on Netflix. Yeah. But of course, it was pushed for 2020. Then the pandemic happened, and it got pushed up, and it was what it was. But the one I'm waiting for, like, it's gonna be on the same level. It's he really did. It's the Vince McMahon. Yeah. Netflix is doing the Vince McMahon. I don't know if it's a docu-series or a documentary. All I know is I don't know if Vince is. There's this air that Vince is probably trying to prepare for retirement. Now, nobody will believe it because he'll tell you that he's not retiring no time soon. But there's a lot of things that's going on as far as business practices for the WWE that seems like he may or could be potentially preparing himself to leave the helm. Or when it is time for him to leave the helm, it is in good hands, it's prepared, and it's not like scrambled because he's been in charge or he's been at the helm for so long. But I remember Stephanie McMahon being kind of reluctant to it. She was saying, I didn't want my father to do it because I wanted to protect him. And I'm saying to myself, what exactly is going to happen? Vince doesn't do interviews. Vince doesn't do podcasts. He doesn't do all those things. But I think he's going to have his moment where he's going to finally... You know, he does the interviews for the documentary.
Yeah, but nothing on himself.
Nothing on him. Like, even Hall of Fame speeches.
Because you remember, like, that time he did the interview with Bob Costas.
Yeah, that went well.
Right.
You know, Bob Costas, media people trying to get Pulitzer Prizes and stuff. But he'll do interviews with other people, like I say, and even Hall of Fame speeches. They're like, don't thank me. That's a rule, or you'll get fined. You know what I mean? And of course, DX finds a way to mention Vince McMahon 1,000 times, and I'm sure he probably was pissed, but it wouldn't be DX. So he is one that I'm like, okay, I think that's one the world's going to want to know. Like, everyone that's ever worked for him, even if they hate his guts, they want answers. And I think if he lets, these people into his life, not just the doc, because he's got a DVD, which is really good. It's old. Yeah. The McMahon DVD. When it goes into his life and Linda and the kids and stuff like that.
Would you want to produce it?
No. No. That's what I wouldn't even touch. Like, I'm like, nah, y'all
$1 million bucks.
Yeah, for that bread. Yeah. Yeah, we can produce.
Boy, see, I'm just you and Vince McMahon working together.
It's gonna be whatever he wants, bro. I don't care. Like, are you writing the check or what? Are you paying me? Whatever you.
I'm paying you to give me ideas. Damn it.
I'm a mercenary. I work for the people who pay for me. So that's one. I'm like, okay. I think everyone's gonna, because everyone's even if you don't like him, everyone's gonna want to watch it to have a responsible rebuttal.
Yep.
And it's like they don't care as long as you watch it, as long as you pump it. In this situation, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, buddy.
Despite what. I don't know how it's going to come out. I don't know what they plan.
I wish that would be on ABC. Like, you know.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Like I said,
this has been good though.
Cringy episode. Cringy. Dark Side of the Realm. Realm biography with the Realm Wrestling Realm biography. But as a wrestling fan, this is what makes it fun for us to kind of give our 2 cents and dive into it.
And let us know what's been your favorite. I want to know what's your favorite episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Your favorite A&E biographies. Which episodes do you want to see? This show we do, we can have a show all the time, but we invite the world in our conversation. Yeah. And we want to know, what do you think? And let us know. Talk to us, people. So, any final thoughts?
No.
Yeah, pretty much. But y'all know what to do. Follow us at Wrestling Realm on all social media platforms. Follow him at TRDA Brand on Instagram and Dwayne Allen 24 on Twitter. Follow me at Brian H. Waters everywhere. And make sure you subscribe to the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. Until the next time. Too sweet.